guys, welcome back to the Cocco channel and to another dating horror stories. So we finished finally The Idiot, and so now I'm going to tell you a really funny story of it wasn't a blind date because I had met him before, but it was like a setup, I guess you could say. Our friends set us up even though we had met each other, so I can't even remember his name. I think it might have been Michael. I dated like 3 different Michaels. So anyways, this this guy was a total bro. If you don't know what a bro is, it's like they wear like the skater, surfer clothing, but they don't do those things like DC and Billabong and you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So they also drive like big trucks usually and talk like a bro, you know what I mean, bro? Like that. So this dude was a total bro, but for some reason I was attracted to idiots like this, and so we went on a date. So he came and picked me up at my apartment. This is after me and Ass had broke up, and that transition period between like that roommate that I had who was super cool, and so anyways, he picked me up at my apartment and he's like, you know, where do you want to eat? And I was like, it doesn't matter to me. And he was like, do you want to eat sushi? And I was like, well, at the time I had not fallen in love with sushi. I had a really horrifying experience in Florida visiting some family friends. We went out to eat and they lived like right on the panhandle in lovely Shalimar. And we went to eat right on the water, and she of course ordered fish, and I didn't grow up eating fish, and so she's like, do you want to just try it? And I was like, sure. And I had an allergic reaction, which was terrifying because I was there by myself. My parents were in Arkansas, and so they had to call them and tell them like they had to give me Benadryl. And so anyways, I was under the impression that I was allergic to all fish since that incident. And so I tell him this, you know, like, I'm allergic to fish. And he was like, oh, okay. And he's like, well, we'll figure it out. And I'm like, cool. So it was like, the whole time we were in the car, he was on the phone. He called his mom. He called 2 of his friends that I knew and was like telling them that we were out on a date, which was just like really awkward. You know what I mean? And so there was like no conversing between each other. So he's just like driving aimlessly. And so I'm under the impression that he knows where he's going and like he picked something out. So we pull up to this restaurant. He takes me to a sushi bar, even though I tell him I'm allergic to fish, right? And we go inside and he's like, you know, I'm just gonna grab a couple things to eat. So I'm not eating. So we sit down and he orders like 4 rolls, which by yourself I feel like is a lot. Like when Andrew and I go to eat sushi, we order 4 rolls and like split them because it's a lot. It's a lot. So he's like, are you sure you don't want anything? And I was like, dude, it's not that I don't want anything. Like, I'm hungry because I was under the impression we were going out to dinner, which is what you do on dates. But I can't eat anything. I'm allergic to fish. So he's like, oh, okay. So he finishes eating. Mind you, he is like shoveling it in his mouth. He was like a bigger guy, and not that he was like overweight, but like you could just tell he was like a big dude. He was a welder for a living, and like I feel like those kind of men are, you know what I mean, pretty built. And so he like traveled a bunch, which is like something I got out of the conversation. But so anyways, we go to, he goes to pay, and oh, that's what I was trying to say. So the whole time, he's just like shoveling food in his mouth. So again, we had like this super long ride over there where he was on the phone, him and I weren't conversing. And then we were sitting at dinner, mind you, I'm not eating, and we didn't converse the whole entire time. So it was just like so awkward. So then he's like, well, you know, do you want to hang out some more? And I was like, you know, yeah, that's fine, you know, whatever you want to do. And he's like, well, I want to introduce you to someone. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, he's a really good friend of mine, and I think you would really like him. And I was like, that's kind of weird that you want me to meet your friend when you and I are on a date. So we pull up to this establishment, and it's a tattoo parlor. And I was like, oh, okay, great. I just got out of a relationship with a tattoo artist like what the hell? You know, this is all in my mind and I'm just like dying on the inside. Like, it's really funny now and ironic, but at the time I was like, no, there's no way. So we go inside and he introduces me to his tattoo artist who, you know, was fine. Nothing, anyways. He's like, I'm gonna get a tattoo. So not only was I in the car with you for an hour and we didn't talk, not only was I at dinner with you for an hour while you ate by yourself and we didn't talk, now you lied to me. You said you wanted me to meet one of your friends, but the fact is that you had a appointment to get a tattoo because the guy was yelling at him that he was late. So he had an appointment and he got, what did he get? Oh, a radio, he got a radioactive symbol like on his arm right here. Was it right here? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And it took like over 2 hours. So I was stranded, like I couldn't do anything because he picked me up from my apartment. And so I had to sit there through the whole entire tattoo of him, and he was such a weenie. Like, I have quite a few tattoos, some were really painful, and I've never had one on my arm, but he was just such a weenie about it. He really was. He was such a weenie. And so it was just so awkward because there was like nobody else in the shop besides the tattoo artist and him, and so I had to like keep going outside, and you know what I mean, I was like walking around, and at this point still my friend Chris wasn't there, but I was talking to him on the phone and I was like telling him like, this is the worst date I've ever had in my life, like somebody could not have written this better, like this is, I'm waiting, like at the time, you know, I was like, I'm waiting for Ashton Kutcher to come out and punk me, like this is horrible, I've never experienced anything like this, it was like a joke. So then he takes me back to my apartment and tries to come upstairs, and I was like, no. And I was like, well, I have work early in the morning, so I'm just gonna go to bed. And he was like, so we're not hanging out? And I was like, we've hung out enough. And so he called me like a couple times after that, but I think he finally got the hint because I did not pick it up and I was not about it. It was awful. It was the worst first date I've ever had in my life. It really was. It's so funny now, but it was horrible. It was awful. Man, that story gets me. So that is it for this worst first date ever. If you guys have any horrible first date stories, leave them down in the comments. Let's chit chat it out. If you enjoyed this dating horror story, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you are new, hello and welcome. My name is Brittany Cocco. You are watching the Cocco channel. Please subscribe if you're not already. That way you don't miss a dating horror story any day of the week. Oh my gosh, every week. And I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye!